our esteemed speakers, panelists for the next session for patiently waiting. They would be talking about the educational institution in disruptive times, how college and university leaders are preparing for hyper change, building a symbiotic relationship between education and technology. Let me introduce our moderator of this session, who was the founding CEO of Telangana Academy on Knowledge, the organization which is bridging the gap between academia and industry and producing skilled workforce, churning out the students to a skilled workforce, and then all entrepreneurs, Mr. Sujiv Nair, the former founding CEO of Academy of Skill and Knowledge with the government of Telangana. Currently, he is the Global Chief Human Resource Officer and also the Chief Transformation Officer with the Ramky Group. Welcome, Mr. Sujiv Nair. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Over to you, Mr. Nair.
Thank you, Sudhirji. Good evening, everyone, and sorry for the late start of this session and the slight spillover. At the outset, let me thank Naveen from the Telangana State Education Department and Sujiv from APAC News Network.
Are we audible, Mr. Nair?
Yes, you are. Can I start?
Yeah, please go ahead. There was a disconnect. Your video is not visible. Can you please check on that?
One second.
Not to worry too much. We are in disruptive times.
I'm really thankful to all the panelists for waiting patiently, and having your esteemed presence is very important to us. And thankfully, just to brief about this event, we are at the end of the day 2 of the 3-day Global Education and Skill Conclave. More than 150 speakers, education leaders from across the country and beyond. 20 state governments have joined us, and also 7 country partners have joined us as the country partners. We are thankful to all those delegates. Yesterday, there were close to 3,000 delegates who have joined out the day, and even today, we have close to the same number, which is 3,333 as of now, as we are talking. Mr. Nair, are you there?
Never mind, you can continue. Second line of defense is always important in disruptive times.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Yes, sir. So, Nair.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear.
Yeah. Yes, we are getting you. Yeah.
Sorry about this. Good evening, everyone. Once again, I apologize for the late start of this session. As you're aware, there was a slight spillover from the last session. At the outset, let me thank Naveen from the Telangana State Education Department and Sudhir from APSC News Network for organizing this Global Education and Skills Conclave and bringing us all together. I'm actually very honored with this opportunity of moderating this session with esteemed panelists who have challenged the status quo in their respective areas in creating and enhancing value. The topic for this panel is about how colleges and universities are preparing for a hyper change, building a symbiotic relationship between education and technology. In fact, a recent Gallup study shows over 81% of teachers agree that they see great value in using digital learning tools in the classroom. Especially during these COVID times, we have experienced the EdTech has rapidly adapted to the new norm of social distancing and learning from home. The future of technology in the education sector has both advantages and disadvantages. In India, especially disadvantages in the rural sector. But there are many solutions that have emerged. Let's hear from our esteemed panelists. their perspectives on how university leaders are prepared for change in building a symbiotic relationship between education and technology. Given that we are already delayed, the proposed plan is I will invite each of the esteemed panelists to speak for 5 minutes and share their perspectives. And then towards the end, we will have some time for Q&A. This is a virtual conference and many people cannot speak at the same time. In case participants have any questions, they can use the chat feature indicating the questions they have and directing it to the respective panelist so that I can ask the questions on your behalf. So let me very quickly introduce each of the panelists. We have Professor Dr. P.B. Sharma, Vice-Chancellor, Amity University, Haryana. Dr. Sandeep Sancheti, Vice-Chancellor, SRM Institute of Science and Technology. Professor Dr. Tabrez Ahmad, Vice-Chancellor, GD Goenka University. Professor Sasmita Samanta, Pro-Vice-Chancellor, Kalinga Institute of Industrial Technology. Dr. Ketan, Kotecha, Director, Symbiosis Institute of Technology. Dr. A.K. Garg, Director, KIET Group of Institutions. Dr. Vikas Singh, Executive Director, ITS Education Group. And Devinder Narain, Director, Shobhit University. Please join me in welcoming this distinguished panel. And I will now request Professor Dr. P.B. Sharma to share his thoughts.
Let me straight away go over to the point in question. We are running a little late, but I must thank you very much for the opportunity given to us to vent out our mind and thoughts on a topic so important. The age of disruption has truly arrived in higher education, and thanks to COVID-19 to make it happen much earlier than perhaps it was expected. But for a person like me, who became Vice-Chancellor at a much earlier age than many of my current Vice-Chancellor colleagues, disruption was not something which I was really so much accustomed to. But nevertheless, I found that really especially in 1999, when I became Vice-Chancellor for the first time of a technological university, and I'll take just 5 minutes to finish, so don't worry too much. And I was walking to Bhopal from Delhi, and on way I found, in fact, a lovely book by one of the very important actually person, the management guru. I'm sharing my screen. I hope it is visible to everybody. Good.
Yes, yes, it is.
Peter Drucker, one of the greatest management guru of that time, who was alive and active in 1997, has made a prophecy, and it came handy to me as I was walking to Rajiv Gandhi Technological University to take as the first Vice-Chancellor. He said 30 years from now, the big university campuses will be relics. Universities would not survive. It is as large a change as when we first got the printed book. This is said on the advent of internet. And if you look at his prophecy today, you find that much of this is happening. And 30 years would mean 2027. By that time, maybe much more will happen. But I think this is something we need to take note of right in the beginning as we are discussing the higher education leadership in the disruptive time. Very quickly, say again, he again said the colleges would not survive as residential institutions. Today's buildings are hopelessly unsuited and totally unneeded, he said. I mean, such kind of bold prophecy being made by one of the greatest management guru of our time, I think cannot be taken lightly. And we need to really look at this very closely now that the COVID-19 has forced us to go to digital learning as one of the very important aspects of managing our disruption. We all are managing our classes and academic activities using digital learning. In the Amity University, I call it the Amity way. Technology integration in education was something very dear to me. I did that in Rajiv Gandhi Technological University by setting up the satellite classroom there. But in Amity also, I did the same thing. Here we have technology integration. Now on digital platform, we call it DL, digital learning. Establishing network community of learners. We became conscious of this much earlier than even COVID-19, cutting across campuses and national boundaries. Luckily, we have 11 universities in India and 14 campuses abroad, and therefore we could think of a network community of learners who could be taught together on a common platform and so on. We also thought that universities tomorrow, much of the learning may happen outside the classrooms and outside the campuses through connected learning environment. Therefore, we focused our attention on maximizing research and development, because we are a R&D and innovation driven faculty. University having R&D and innovation driven faculty and scholars became a major focus of our university, and we focused our eyes on transforming universities as global knowledge enterprises, creation of knowledge, translation of knowledge, maximizing R&D and innovation in campuses, while the learning might perhaps shift from the campus to the places where the students are. And this way, now Amity has set up what we call Amity Future Academy, promoting online learning anytime, anywhere, at various levels of learning, taking in fact learning to the students rather than asking students to come to the classrooms and the campuses. This is what we envision is going to happen when the prophecy of Peter Drucker will become fully realized. Collaborative learning, team learning, high velocity learning would become the feature of this digital learning platform on which the whole services will be mounted. In fact, digital learning would become digital integrated learning. So DL will become DIL, DIL. And we have to evolve new and innovative learning models in order to make much value from digital learning to digital integrated learning. But of course, there are challenges which my fellow vice-chancellors cannot brush aside. The biggest challenge is learning to know is not enough. We can handle that through digital learning. You can impart a whole lot of knowledge which you have with you or on the net through digital learning, but learning to do is equally important for the industry-ready professionals, future-ready professionals. How to take care of learning to do in a digital learning or DIL learning environment, which I propose, that's another challenge. Learning to work in collaborative teams to solve complex problems is equally important. And critical thinking and innovative mindset of the student community as well as of the teachers is a must, in fact, today in the age of disruption. How to address the challenges in digital learning environment or digital integrated learning environment, cutting across boundaries of even nation, going anywhere in the world, anytime, anywhere, on-demand learning. These are, in fact, the challenges. We are focusing on research and development very well. We are maximizing R&D, as I said, 64 projects, 30 crores of rupees or so today are running in the university. We set up centers of excellence to maximize the collaborative research and also putting community of researchers together to solve bigger problems. And this is something very dear to Amity University, Amity Way. Research clusters, putting research-minded faculty together to drive the agenda of interdisciplinary research and interdisciplinary science and engineering becoming a reality here. This is giving a lot of good focus on producing high quality research, translating that research also for the society and industry. The group of scientists who are teachers are working together to push these research clusters on lipidomics and cancer biology and also in nanoscience and technology. And of course, we are having, this is how we are trying to, in fact, prepare our university. It requires, in fact, a new age leadership, in my opinion. You require breakthrough leaders in the university in order to manage the age of disruption. And you require speed leaders. Breakthrough leaders will challenge the status quo. Speed leaders will implement change with speed and ease. And this is what exactly I thought I must put before you right in the beginning, before going into detailed deliberations on educational institutions in disruptive time, how university leaders are preparing to hyper change, a very important topic which has been chosen. I must thank APAC News Network for giving me this opportunity to be with you, ladies and gentlemen. I thought with this, I must thank you at this point, and I must acknowledge the innovative leadership of Amity and the founder, president of Amity, who is driving this agenda of transforming university into a global knowledge enterprise, while the online learning will continue as an important aspect of maximizing R&D and innovation, IPR generation, patenting, and then taking it forward. That's what the universities of tomorrow would be known for. Thank you so much indeed. I will stop my share at this point and will come back for the question answer time if you have any further clarification to make. Thank you so much, Mr. Sujiv Nair, for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Professor. Thank you so much. I think it was very 14 slides, superb. Thank you so much for keeping up to the time. May I now welcome Dr. Sandeep Sancheti to share his thoughts.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Nair. Very happy to join you, though we are slightly late. We'll try to maintain the time. Thanks to Mr. Akash also for this invitation. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about education and technology only, not much of preface, except that the rate of change, the knowledge, tsunami knowledge, which we are now dealing with, will be dealt only with the help of technology. We cannot survive on our own because the rate of growth of knowledge is said to be something like 12 to 13 hours in terms of doubling. And therefore, technology should have been embraced by the education much earlier. And this should not have resulted in a hyper kind of a change which we are seeing now. It should have been a continuous change had it been adopted by us earlier. We are possibly one of the largest sector, but one of the slowest sector in terms of adopting technology. Banking is an example which adopted technology maybe 20 years back. So the relationship should not remain symbiotic, but it should be much more stronger. They should be like conjoined twins. These are the examples where technology has changed everything. I'll not go through that, but only thing I can say that the technology has changed what we call physical, social, political, financial, relational, and functional maps of the world. And it's now going to change the educational map of the world also. This is one scheme which has come in NEP. I'm not going to describe this particular scheme. It's called Academic Bank of Credit. If it has to survive and it has to do well, it has to be only through technology. No other means can make this kind of a scheme, a physical scheme, in my opinion. And therefore, and we are seeing this is going to be what we call education 4.0 or student-centric education. And you can see lots of things which will change in this particular case. And it will all be technology driven, that they can choose their teachers, they can choose their timings, they can choose their language, they can choose their mode of learning, they can choose everything, when to appear in the examination and what to do. All those things will be technology driven. So I'll not go into that also, because I want to show you two slides which are more important, which are going to be preparing for the education or technology in education. In any case, these are some of the things which are there. I already talked to you about the student centricity. And if you need what you call the interdisciplinary, experiential, and active learning, then obviously technology has to be there. Lots of ways in which the blending and hybrid and mixed mode of learning can happen. Teaching learning can happen, internet, animation, web-based, DTH, various other things which are also there. So I'll use the last two slides to explain you what should be the new technology which will be coming into the education space. And the first six are the ones which are already happening in some way, in my opinion. And the next one possibly would be the new set of things. So we probably know that smart classrooms are already there, but we have not made use of it fully. And it's only tokenism. It's for showcasing that we have a smart classroom. We used to use it. Same way with the 3D printing, very limited access and all that. But you can see that they can make the teaching learning very, very different, very creative. Now imagine the other changes which are there, which are also happening, text to speech and vice versa. It will give you a feature that rather than writing the examination, you will be standing in the examination. Rather than maybe you can possibly say that sitting in the examination, you can be standing in the examination, and writing the examination, you can be speaking the examination. So text to speech will give you that feature. Biometric eye tracking will remove invigilations and various other things where we waste a lot of time. Half a day of a teacher goes wasted into what we call various other things like examinations and invigilations that will go. Social networking is a new tool to teach. And of course, mobile and cloud technologies are anyway being used now for scaling up operation. These six are being used. I think most of us know about it, that these are going to be the future for the education. But these remaining six are the ones which are not put to use in a big way. Number one is the artificial intelligence. Only for examinations we are putting it to use. Now we need to know that how well the student is learning or not. That will drive the technology really in education. If we have AI, AI can have many, many applications, as you know. Game-based learning, we were averse to a word called games in our classes or education. Now it has to be forced that we'll have to use all these devices, tools, and games to teach. Another interesting thing will be flexible display or LCD desk. single piece of thing which will be in your hand, which will be foldable LCD screen, will be your book, examination book, pen, paper, internet access, anything. And that will also change the way we carry out our things in the classes. Augmented reality, virtual reality, animation, 3D modeling, all that will be making it very, very immersive. I can only give an example that even history can be taught by creating the scenes of war or darbars or everything, and therefore it can be making the even subjects like history very, very interesting. Wearable devices will have to be allowed in the classrooms, whether you like it or not. Already we have 1 to 2 sensors and IoTs in our mobiles, and we are carrying it in the classroom, but otherwise it will become 5 as per the projections of IoTs, and those will also give you different flavor in terms of teaching, learning. And finally, this holographic presence. Right now you are seeing me in a 2-dimensional form, but if the holographic presence will come, possibly you will see me in the 3-dimensional form, and the feeling will be very, very different. That feeling which we are missing, that we are not in the classroom but still teaching, all those things will go missing. And that will come alive with the holographic. So these are going to be the new technologies. Some of them have seen the light of the day, some of them have not, but I'm pretty sure that these will drive the education. And one thing, final statement from my side is that technology, once it gets into your life, it's very, very difficult to take it away. We have seen it from automobile to mobile. We've also seen it in kitchen, where lots of gadgets and technology is being used. Now that it is entering the education space, it will be very, very difficult to take it away. Let's get ready. Let's use it positively, and let's enjoy the technology to do good work for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr.
Thank
Sandeep.
you. Stop sharing now. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Sandeep. I think the driving dozen is a very important point you mentioned. And also another thing for all the faculty members to take back is technology once coming into our life is very difficult to take back. Thank you so much. May I now request Dr. Tabrez to share his views on the topic.
Thank you. Thank you, APAC, for inviting me for this program. So it is really great to be part of this learned panel to share my thoughts. So it is very clear now that everybody is spoken very nicely, Dr. PB, Samanta, and Sandeep Sancheti, regarding this use of technology for the learning, also for growth and development of the technology, as well as the quality of the education. But I feel that this is the very right time. I see the COVID as an opportunity for all the universities and colleges to really experiment and see the benefits of the technology. If you go back to 1995, when for the first time we have seen internet coming in India and also mobile phone, a lot of groups are totally against about the use of technology in the classroom. They feel that any faculty using the PPT may not be good faculty. He want to just like the pass, the PPT, and not willing to do a lot of research and also do the intensive study. But the use of technology and how we can use the multimedia in the classroom, now it is very justified. And this is the right time to really bring the Indian education system at par with the global standards. If you see the scenario that we are not in the top 200 universities in the world, but because of the use of technology and also because of the use of the resources to find out the best professor in the world who can share their thoughts, we can find out the best content in the classroom. Because generally it's very challenging to maintain the quality of the content. Mostly it is paid journals. So this is the opportunity for all the universities who can really find out the best professors, find out the best content, and also find out the best collaboration among the universities to drive the research and development. So for the internationalization, this is the right time to really drive the research and development. And what I see is a good opportunity. Rightly mentioned by Sandeep regarding the use of the AIR and also regarding the augmented reality, virtual reality, regarding the artificial intelligence. See, if you go earlier days, you have to go in the library and see a lot of challenge to find the material for research. But because of the use of the artificial intelligence, you can just locate the real content. So you can save a lot of time. So time saving is very important because then you can use your time for the quality of the development of your research and the kind of find out the quality of the output. What I see that because in India, it was not very prevalent to have the technology because mostly the rich universities and good colleges used to have technology. And currently we see 70% of the students and faculty still they cannot use technology because it is very costly affair. They cannot able to manage. So the challenge is that how to maintain the gap between have and have-nots. So this technology driving only the development of 30% group, 70% is not able to manage. This is not the good sign. So that's why what I feel that we have to focus a lot in the open source quality of the content, because if the content is not there right now, and also there is a lot of universities not able to have the remote access. So if content is in the libraries, there students are currently, faculty are not in the campus. Library is very rich, but they cannot access the library. So unless and until you have a very good quality of the content and also remote access, so student faculty can access the material and also they can drive the teaching properly. They can do the lot of learning for the examinations. We are very lucky that we are one of the very good universities in the country, and also we are well settled, established in the Sona Road at Gurgaon. And also we have mostly the good students coming from the different parts of the world and also from the India. So we are not having this challenge. But when I see about the government colleges, about the remote areas, they are big sufferers because of the COVID-19. So it has given the kind of a lot of the thrashing to all the student faculty, these colleges, how they are able to maintain this gap. Second problem is that regarding the evaluation process, because what is happening in the online medium, we are mostly testing the kind of the content knowledge, but the learning is not only about the content knowledge. Learning is more beyond this, because we have to see the growth of their attitude, personality, the growth of their the kind of the the kind of the learning of the professional development. For legal education, I'm talking about that. For legal education, if you just have the knowledge of content, it may not help you. Same way about the education for the management. If you just have the knowledge of the management principle, it may not help you. Unless you get some scope, you can learn from the peer learning, you can share your thoughts. So because of the online learning, it is going to have challenge how we can maintain the quality of the improvement that we generally get in the formal classroom. So we have to have technology that will try to maintain this gap that is going to happen because of the lack of the chance of the peer learning, and also lack of chance of those where the skill orientation is required. For example, the lab works. How we are going to really maintain the quality of the actual lab and also the virtual lab. So these are a few of my thoughts that we have to focus as education leaders to maintain the balance of the quality of teaching learning process in the online medium and the offline medium. With these few words, I thank the organizer for giving me a chance to share my thoughts. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you, Professor Tabrez. I think one very important takeaway I have heard from you is, let's look at COVID as an opportunity than a threat. You know, this is the best time to make the changes that we want to make. And of course, I would just like to add on to what Professor Tabrez mentioned. NPTEL VLabs are available free of cost for all of us, and the best use of digital tools. Thank you so much. May I now request Professor Sasmita to share her thoughts. Ma'am, over to you.
Thanks, Mr. Sujiv Nair. With due respect to Professor P.P. Sharma and Professor Sancheti, those who are, I can say that, pioneer of education in this country. They have contributed a lot for the field of education. Also to Professor Tabrez, Professor Garg, those who are present here to contribute in this session. I would like to bring certain things to the podium that I have heard Professor Sharma and Professor Sancheti. Of course, they have particularly focused on importance of technology in education. And after COVID-19, each one of the academicians of this country, we all will be agreeing that perhaps only because of the integration of technology in the education system, we all are performing today. And education is the only sector which has adapted to the technology very fast. And maybe because of that, we all are discussing in a digital platform on different issues itself. And whatever Professor Tabrez said, that COVID-19, we should take it as an opportunity. Yes, lots of opportunities have been explored. Lots of opportunities have been explored. When we are thinking about internationalization of education, globalization, I think after the outbreak of COVID-19 and the use of technology in the massive scale in academic system, today, each one of the academic institutions, not only in this country, but all over the globe, we are very much confident that technology, the use of technology can bring the transformation to the whole academic system of this globe. Today, while we talk about education or any industry or business, we all have understood, being the leader in different fields, that to survive today in the market, rather than going for the competition, we all should think about cooperation, the working together or the cooperative activities. And while I talk about the cooperative activities, today we find that lots of changes are happening and disruptions are happening continuously, and now the pace is very fast. The pace of disruptions in the globe is very fast. Disruptions are, the technologies are making the disruptions. Our social system is making the disruptions. The processes are being disrupted in very regular interval. I say in my university that when a batch of students are passing out from the university and new batch of the students are coming and joining and new faculties are coming, they themselves are disrupting one academic institution. The system is being disrupted by them. Because in any academic institution, I hope that that system we have developed in KIIT, that when the new students are coming, we have developed a system as such their aspiration, their ambition from their life, and the level of knowledge they come into the university. Those parameters become the input for any academic institution. When a batch of students are going out and new students are coming, they themselves are making the disruption in those parameters in the university campus itself. So now, what I think that yes, integration of technology to the education is inevitable today, but we should use the technology as the tool, and we should reimagine the education system, not only taking it as the emergency that whatever we have done during the COVID pandemic, that in the emergency situation, suddenly we have changed to a platform, a digital platform, where we all are using the technology for teaching learning processes. We are using the technology for doing the labs, for research activities. Yes, lots of opportunities have been explored by this time. But if we little bit analyze that how to use the technology and up to which extent it should be used. I had read the report of Education Commission that they had mentioned that by 2030, the integration of technology into the education will happen. And as the world is moving too fast and change is becoming too fast, whatever skill will be taught in the university campuses at any point of time, or educational institution campuses at any point of time, till the moment the students join the workforce or they join the business, industry or society, that skill may be obsolete. So the students have to be taught to innovate. They should be taught to develop the learning skill. They should be helped to develop their critical thinking and analytical skills. Today we are talking about artificial intelligence and machine learning. I would like to say that when we are talking about disruptions, that means whatever had never happened, that is happening, and that is disrupting the all existing system. So when we are discussing about the disruptions, and COVID-19 has made a very massive disruption, and when we are talking about AI and machine learning, which is very much, I can say that conceptualized and dependent on data and the pattern, whatever has already happened in this globe, I don't know how much it will be helping us. As we all have realized that the whole knowledge created in this world has fallen short to address the challenges we are facing today because of COVID-19, not only in the field of academic, not only in the field of industries, but also we can say that the over dependency on data, or whatever pattern we have developed till now based on AI, machine learning, whatever, that has not helped us to come out of any of the challenges. So suddenly, because of the changes, we all have evolved, and we all have evolved because of the natural talent of the human being to fight against all odds and to innovate. And I can say that yes, technology is today is driving our lives. It has become the integral part of our life, and it has become the way of living. And in education sector, I remember since 2003, KIIT has supplied the laptops to each one of the student and faculties in the campus. That means after that time, the concern or the integration of technology with education had happened. And the KIIT is the first university in the country to have the Wi-Fi facility in the campus, or the first e-campus in the country itself, since in the year 1999. That means during that time, the consciousness and sensibility was there for the technology, and technology was in use with the education. If we see the report of 2017, the e-content, I can say that the size of the e-content in digital platform had just doubled in 2017 itself in 1 year. That means the education scenario was just evolving, and its integration with the technology was happening. But suddenly COVID-19 has made a very big push or very strong intervention into it. But I can say that, yes, we all have to run with the technology, but that we should use the technology as the tool, and we should focus on mostly development of learning skill in the children. We should focus on the development of the children towards the humanistic approach. Today we are talking about design thinking, we are talking about empathy. We should focus on developing those skills in the students, and particularly we should focus on humanism and compassion, what my university focuses, and to teach them to drive with that. When I talk about empathy, we understand that empathy means understanding the people, and compassion come much, I can say that it's come much ahead of this. What feels about others helps them to come out of that. So we should teach those things to the students, help them to become a very good human being with proper thought process and analytical reasoning. So I thank all of you for listening. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am. I think there's a very important thing that you mentioned. Focus on cooperation rather than competition. I think that is extremely important. Thank you so much. May I now request Dr. Ketan Kotecha to share his thoughts, please.
Yeah, good evening, all of you. First of all, thanks to APAC Network for giving me this opportunity to be a part of this esteemed panel, particularly where we have Dr. Sharma and Dr. Sancheti, who are like our role models in our Indian education system. I think as everyone has mentioned, technology was already an integral part of the education system, but I think the speed was very less, as Dr. Sancheti mentioned, but now because of COVID, I think the disruption has happened, and it has become automatic and very, very exponentially faster. There are a lot of burning problems we were facing in the education systems if you go to the ground reality, and we were trying to solve, but it has been solved automatically. For example, we know that there's a lot of time wasted by the teachers for a lot of administrative work, but now there's automatic technology which we were trying, but now it has been adopted completely because we are at home and delivering everything. So that is, created a good quality time for the faculty members, which can be invested in good quality teaching as well as research. And I'm sure the research output, particularly I observed in my university, has exponentially grown in this particular year, 2020. Then using artificial intelligence kind of technology, the search of the best material has become very easily possible. It will continue to grow like that. For example, if I want to learn artificial intelligence from the best professor who has designed Google, the course is available online, right? So that has become possible because of technology. A lot of other things which we were always thinking about in the classrooms, which has become possible. For example, in the classrooms, there is a slow learner, then how to do the remedial teaching to them. And now automatic, because we are recording our own lectures, every one of us, I think it has become very easy for them to again rehearse the content. And it has also become just-in-time kind of education where they can be flexible. They can learn any point of time whenever they have a correct mindset for learning the same. A lot of duplication of the contents has been, I think, avoided because we can borrow the content and we can build on top of that as well. We were always trying about using virtual labs, but now it is mandated, and that's what everyone has learned. And I'm sure it will also propel lifelong learning, because, you know, if the student after graduate would like to do some experimentation, it was very difficult to come back to the college. But now, because they were exposed to virtual, you know, laboratories, they can, even once they are working, I'm sure they will be able to use that and learn new things. And, you know, this online recording of the classes definitely will also prompt lifelong learning, which is one of the goals of the higher education as well. Even if I go in minor details of the classroom, you know, it was very difficult in engineering classroom, if there are maybe 60 to 80 students, to know that who has learned what, how much learning has happened, because that's the final goal. But I think because of these online tools, it's very easy to take a poll in 1 minute, and we can get that how much they have understood, and teachers can change the direction of the teaching accordingly. Even we are talking about flipped classroom, which has become now possible, because, you know, teacher can record the you know, lecture, put it online, give it to the students. Students can watch that, and teacher can solve the doubts. So that has become a reality automatically. A lot of alumni talks, industry talks, foreign experts talks were already there, but now I think it has become too easy, because, you know, people may not would like to travel all the way, but giving 1 hour talk online has become a reality now. And I think it has been exponentially increased across all the universities here as well. So in short, a lot of, you know, agendas of NEP has been automatically satisfied, like online teaching learning or flexible learning, or even collaborative learning, because students are at home, they do collaboration in solving the assignments and all. So a lot of such you know, attributes have been already been achieved by that. And still, one more thing I always tell about the examination. I never understood till date that how we can have an examination in 3 hours where the students is writing in isolation, because finally at the end of the day in the industry, they are supposed to collaborate. And now it has become automatic possible, because there is no choice but to take an open book kind of examination, or even an online examination. So open book examination has become now a de facto standard as well. And as Dr. Sancheti was rightly mentioning that, you know, once technology has come to us, it's never going to go back. It's definitely going to be an addiction. So I'm sure that even after COVID, if the, you know, universities will open, the students will come back, I think there will be a blend of both online and offline teaching. The last point is about, you know, from my side, is about the future of the technology, which again, Dr. Sancheti has mentioned very, very well. I'll just add to what he has told. Is one of the things I see is adaptive learning will be a reality. For example, if I'm learning online, everything can be measured by AI algorithm, and AI algorithm will suggest me that you are weak in this particular area, and you need to rehearse that. So that kind of customized or personalized education is going to be definitely a reality, and this kind of softwares are also available now. And the student engagement we are always talking about, which is very less, but I think now the content can be developed by, you know, and it can be delivered by animation characters which are favorite to the students, and by that way I think engagement can be also increased. And one more transformation will be there for MOOC courses. We term MOOC as massive open online courses, but in future I'm sure there will be massive open online chatbots. So the chatbots will teach the students a particular and customized topic. Right? So I'm sure this kind of, you know, engagement with the technology is really going very nice, and I'm sure that in future it will be enhanced further. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ketan. I tend to agree with one of the statement you made. Technology is going to become an addiction. I actually see that with my daughter. So it is both a threat as well as an opportunity. Thank you so much for that. I think the challenge will be how much our teachers or faculty can get adopted to technology. I think that is where a major push is required. Thank you so much. May I now invite Dr. A.K. Garg to share his views, please. Dr. Saab, you're on mute. Kindly unmute yourself.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sujiv and the APAC News Network. Regards to all the fellow panelists, and I'm especially thankful. Today I see, I'm very fortunate to share the dais with 2 of my teachers. Professor P.B. Sharma sir, he's been my teacher. I've been his student long time back in Kashmiri Gate, Delhi College of Engineering. And Dr. Sandeep Sancheti, I mean, we have been working together in the Manipal group of academy. Thank you so much for your beautiful thoughts. My talk of about 3 to 4 minutes is going to be mostly focused on the learnings what we have accrued during this current COVID scenario. Now, what I wanted to say was that in the month of March or April, that duration till about June, July, that last semester, we call it a even semester, that was the phase of the experimentation. You know, most of the institutions, they were caught unaware. And we did a lot of experimentation, what particular tool to use, what not to use, and all that. And in that particular duration, we learned a lot of things. And in the current semester, we started in August, we got a lot of stability and we had a lot of learnings. I like most of the institutions, we put our faculty to record the video lectures. You know, that culture got changed everywhere. I mean, a faculty who probably could never record a video, he learned how to record a video in the comfort of his own home, in the laptop, or maybe in the institutions. That was a great technological leap, I would say that I think the entire education industry has made. And similarly, we found that a lot of virtual labs utilization has been done. Virtual labs which are available on the MHRD website, and even a lot of organizations, a lot of institutions have started making the virtual labs. That was a great learning. Like some of the institutions I'm aware that the student clubs have been opened, and those clubs are making the virtual labs. So that is a real use of the technology. Then we found that there is a lot of digital literacy tools are available which are free of cost. Like we were never aware that you could conduct an examination using the tools like the Google form, where the Google form was never exploited to such an extent what has been done in last 6 months or so. Also, all the institutions, they understood where they lacked in the digital infrastructure. Digital infrastructure was really a problem, and the institutions which did not have the infrastructure, they were really forced to go for the infrastructure. And also the necessity of a good learning management system was felt. The LMS, I mean, people learned that the Moodle, which is again an open source platform, there is enough facility on the LMS, on the Moodle, where we don't need to go for a high-end solutions which are commercially available in the market. So that kind of a learning was really fantastic. Now the challenge is there. Now what I see that whatever learning which we have accrued during this period, we should not allow it to fade away. That is a big challenge what I feel. Now, once the colleges, though we are at the fag end of this situation, let's hope so. Probably in a couple of months, or maybe some institutions have already invited the students in campus. Once we get the students in campus, whatever learnings we have done, that should not be allowed to fade away. That is a bigger challenge what I feel all across. And another thing which is going to go is that because of the social distancing norms, all of us are supposed to ensure that the students maintain a social distancing. Now, if that happens in a class of 60, probably we may not call all the 60 students to the class. Probably in that case, we'll have to call only 30 students. So it means that there is going to be live streaming of the class. This is going to be a truly blended learning. Now, how to ensure that particular thing, to have a simultaneously live streaming in the class, and also the 50% of students, they attend this class virtually, or do we need to repeat the lectures? So those are the challenges probably which we need to address. But a lot of learnings have been done during this period, and some of the things what I very fondly observed in my institution, that in this particular mode, we could connect to the parents also. Now we had a large number of parents who were connected. Maybe we had about 500 to 600 parents. We connected with them virtually, and which probably could never happen. There was a jump in the research publications, the patents, because the time was available. Time was available with the faculty, and you could demand that these publications have to be done. And international conferences, we found that now it would be a game changer. I mean, it would be very difficult to organize a international conference in a physical mode, because you are at the comfort. Like today, we are in a very comfortable zone. We are sitting into our offices, and at this hour, we are having a beautiful discussion. But this kind of a thing also, if you are allowed to, if you are asked to get back to the physical mode, this would be very difficult. So these kind of a learnings, I'm sure they're going to stay. The international conferences, the connect, what the fellow panelists mentioned, the number of conferences, the number of connects and webinars. So all those things are going to remain, and that is what the major challenge lies in planning the the teaching learning once the colleges open in the full esteem. Another point I wanted to say that the technology, we need to use it, and the way the parent, the student and teachers, they connect. Now, I look at it that the mentoring of the students, we all have the mentors, the faculty mentors. The mentoring of the students probably would be much easier. And one of my fellow panelists mentioned about the students who probably need little hand holding. That would be much easier, because now everybody is used to the virtual mode of interaction. The students and teachers, they can connect with each other at any time of the day. And that is what is really going to benefit each one of us. Now, my last point here would be that everything is okay. We have got the video recorded. The videos are there onto the Moodle of the colleges and universities. And in the actual classroom, what probably is required that the student is expected to see those videos and come for a discussion. So probably we have been talking of dovetailing the Bloom's taxonomy into our curriculum. Probably this is the right time where we can say that the first two levels, the lower order thinking skills, we can say that the students should do it on their own, the remember and understand. But the higher orders like apply, analyze and evaluate, and the finally creation, some of this probably can be used after the post-COVID scenario in the classroom. The classrooms can be more for a discussion. It can be more for application of a higher order thinking skills of the Bloom's taxonomy. And that is where it has been mentioned by one of the panelists that we need to have a personalized learning tools, use of data analytics and the emerging platforms which we need to identify. And that is where if we can do a personalized learning for the student, that would be excellent. I mean, that would be the real challenge. And that is what I will say, that would be the best learning out of this COVID scenario, where all these things probably we learn and then we implement to make a learning truly towards a creation of some projects or some kind of a patents, or maybe solving some industry problems or some society problems. So this is what my thoughts on the subject is. And I'm very excited in our institutions that these kind of a technology, I mean, if we get some technological tools who can personalize the learning, if we can have a effective, even more effective LMS in the institution, or maybe even better ERP, because ERP is again a big challenge I find in most of the institutions, that all the ERPs are self-developed, and there are a lot of issues in some of the institutions. Now, in case we can look at this digital infrastructure, followed by a digital literacy and proper amalgamation of everything into our teaching learning methodology, I think that would be the real outcome or the real learning from this COVID scenario. And that's where we'll become a totally digital institutions and will be in a position to make the better students in the times to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Garg. I think very, very important point is for institutions to keep in mind in setting up digital infrastructure and learning management systems. I think this is going to be very, very crucial for the future. Thank you. May I invite Dr. Vikas Singh to share his thoughts, please?
Thank you, Sujiv ji. And thanks to Sudhir and Akash, APAC, for inviting me. And, it's a big pleasure that I'm sharing this dais with Dr. P.V. Sharma. When I did my master's, he was principal of Delhi College of Engineering. And when I completed my PhD under Dr. S.K. Garg, he was the founder, Vice-Chancellor at DTU. It's a big pleasure and honor for me to be sharing the dais with Dr. P.V. Sharma. I'll share my thoughts on this, topic, but, after such stalwarts of higher education, there is very limited thing which I can, share, but I would, try to bring in a different perspective to this discussion. What Dr. Sancheti said, in his initial discourse, and also shared by Dr. Tabrez, that, there are 40,000 plus higher education institutions in India. There are around 1,000 universities in India. This, this topic of symbiotic relationship, I'm totally in agreement, because still there are so many higher education leaders, so many higher education professors, teachers, which are carrying this belief that once this, COVID will pass, they will go back to a status quo. They will go back to the earlier situation. All the students will rush into the classrooms, just like we had examples of revenge buying. There'll be revenge physical learning. Students will all come in huge numbers to classes, and they will start the education system as it was pre-COVID. Or there is a second set of people, like Dr. Tabrez said, haves and have-nots, which with whom I'm sharing this panel. Those who are having this kind of leadership, that this change is there to stay, and what we are learning is going to actually affect the teaching and learning process for all the times to come. But that group, which is having this feeling that they'll go back to the status quo, there is another challenge also, and that challenge is, how much deep pockets those colleges are having, or how much, deep pockets those universities are having, how much investment, they can do in this IT enablement of the entire system. Dr. A.K. Garg and I, belong to affiliated institution system. And I think this is third or fourth occasion when I'm sharing the, dais with Dr. Garg, and he's stalwart in, affiliated education system. ITS group, KIET group, we are having such, managements who can invest money, who have been investing money, in this IT enablement. We have 2 innovation centers, one by DST, one by MSME. We are, ranking in top 25 colleges in ARIA for innovation. But innovation setup, as we know, is not required by any affiliated college as such. So, there are certain managements, there are certain institutions where, they are more pro-change. And those systems which are pro-change, they will look at this as a big opportunity. And because of this big opportunity, they are taking steps which is going to sustain them, which is going to give them competitive advantage in the times to come. Like in our case, I would say entire supply chain of education system has been disrupted or IT enabled now, right from branding of institution or marketing of institution. Earlier we were having lots of budget for outdoor hoardings, outdoor media. We were having lots of budget for newspaper advertisements. This year, all that budget has gone towards digital media, social media marketing, and those we are trying to reach student on his or her mobile phone, believing fully well that they are not going to roam around on roads and look at the hoardings. Rather, they will be sitting at home and looking at their mobile or laptops. Likewise, in case of LMS, we are using LMS system. We are trying to make the teaching learning process very, very IT enabled. In fact, we were just thinking last year that how can we have IT enabled selection and placements process. This year we are using a platform which is having artificial intelligence inbuilt into interviews. So we are taking interviews of students and we are sharing with them the feedback on their interview, that how are their gestures, where they were looking at, how they were smiling, and how employable they are as such, using the artificial intelligence. But my bigger thought is that students, I would conclude my one understanding which I have. It has always been a challenge for higher education institutions to bring students to the classes. Some people have very strict rules and regulations for attendance. Some people have ERP systems where attendance goes below 75%. Students are immediately not allowed to sit in the examinations. But this change of online education, I think students are loving this change. My own elder son is a student of Delhi College of Engineering or DTU. Now he is in final year of civil engineering, and for last 1 year or last 9 months, he's taking his lectures and classes sitting at home. I personally believe all the kids, they have accepted this kind of change. So what Dr. B.V. Sharma said in the beginning, that large 100 crore campuses, 150 crore campuses, large buildings, we really need to fight with a company like Upgrade. We really in future need to fight with a company, a tech company like Byju's, a company like Upgrade. We need to show and use technology in such a way that the students feel that these higher education institutions, 40,000 plus colleges are there, 1,000 universities are there. We need to show and we need to emphasize that we are relevant and will remain relevant, in the times and years to come. I think this is a big challenge, and where the leadership, like us, we need to take certain steps and ensure that this symbiotic relationship, which we are saying, should become not symbiotic, but it should be a very well entangled kind of, association between education and technology. This is, the challenge which I feel in my opinion. Thanks for the opportunity, given to me.
Thank you, Dr. Vikas. I think one very important point you touched upon is how can we bring students into the classroom? I think that is a challenge many institutions are facing. I don't know whether it will help, but in corporates, we use gaming a lot with the technology. We use a lot of gaming methods. If there is a project work, which project, there are 5 teams, which project comes first? So we run a gaming contest, and that is something that attracts these millennials and Gen Xs. I just thought I'll leave that thought with you. Thank you once again. Let me invite Mr. Devinder Narain to share his thoughts, please.
Yeah, good evening, respective panelists. After listening to such an distinguished panel, I mean, it's really tough to speak. But still, I'll try. We Indians always have one belief, that is Vasudev Kutumbakam. Today, in many respects, the world has become a global knowledge society of interconnected and interdependent human activity that share increasingly common ways to communicate and interact. Thanks to digital revolution in the mid of late 20th century, compressed time and space boundaries in a way never before imagined. Thus, the globalization process of a continually shrinking world help us in this troublesome time, and we should take the advantage of this fast-moving knowledge society. This emerging global knowledge society facilitated mainly by ubiquitous global communications such as internet and wireless. Everybody knows about this. Hyper-connected human activity in which people increasingly interact with each other regularly, irrespective to physical space and time boundaries. It is a hyper-connected network where everything is quickly becoming connected to everything else. And the higher education has to respond to this brave new world in terms of better preparing students to live more effectively. Just a second, small trouble. Yeah. And the universities are having a responsibility to facilitate the global flow of knowledge to the faculty and students, to make them chief catalysts in increasing the global spread of innovation and scientific discoveries. The universities have to operate at multiple levels now: global, regional, national, and local. Now, we cannot just think of locality or a state or nation. Now, we have to think globally if we really want to survive in this world. And they must figure out how to do this in the most integrated way possible. The university must learn how to compete and collaborate at the same time. As such, global higher education institutions are being transformed from a tertiary education institution into lifelong learning institution, and the global knowledge economy is being transformed into a global knowledge society. The higher education in future is one form or another is going to open the virtually anyone who wishes to participate in it. It has naturally put pressure on us, universities, to maintain high quality standard. As a result, quality assurance in the higher education has become the more relevant and important now. Everybody is not one or two institutions, everybody has to think on that. It is a time when we talk about skilling and reskilling. In Shobhit University, we are working in the direction to prepare students with the knowledge and skill for jobs that may not yet exist, because the trend is changing very fast. The kind of opportunities are available in industry, we never thought of those. So in Shobhit University, our commitment is to produce students who are both generalists and specialists at the same time. This requires equipping students with both broad and specialized knowledge base and a range of competencies that are better suited in an integrally complex and hyper-connected world. And I mean, it is definitely a coincidence that new education policy declared near this disruptive, troublesome time. And the new education policy may help higher education to become the de facto vehicle for providing formal learning opportunity to people at every stage of their lives, in light of their role in a highly globalized world. Thank you very much for giving me opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Devinder ji. I think the very, very important point that you touched upon is skilling is going to be extremely key going forward. Once again, I would like to thank each and every member, panelists, for having shared their thoughts and perspectives. In essence, each of us also have demonstrated that despite technology or technological challenges, we have been able to keep up to the time of this panel. Thank you very much once again. Sudhir ji, over to you from here.
Hello.
Mr. Sudhir Kautam, over to you, please.
Yes, sir. It was the last session, but the most enriching, and the inputs that were given by each and every speaker. I could see each and every speaker were at ease and were giving out their perception and giving out the solutions, the much needed solution in the present challenging time for in the education sector. We are thankful to all the speakers for taking out the time and sharing their deep insights. It has been an enriching session. With this, I would like to thank each and every speaker of the session, and especially Mr. Sujiv Nair for moderating this session so well. And of course, building a symbiotic relationship between education and technology. This was well discussed by each and every panelist. So I would like to thank Mr. Sujiv Nair, who's a Global Chief Human Resource Officer and Chief Transformation Officer with the Ramky, Enviro, and also Professor P.B. Sharma ji, Vice-Chancellor, Amity University, Haryana, Gurugram, Dr. Sandeep Sancheti, Vice-Chancellor, SRM University of Science and Technology, Professor Dr. Aditya Malik, Vice-Chancellor, SRM Institute of Science and Aditya Malik, Vice-Chancellor, KR Mangalam University, Professor Tabrez Ahmad, is it there? Yeah, Tabrez Ahmad ji, for Vice-Chancellor, GD Goenka University, Professor Sasmita Samanta, Pro Vice-Chancellor, Kalinga Institute of Industrial Technology, deemed to be University, Dr. Ketan, Kotecha, Director, Symbiosis, Institute of Technology, Dr. A.K. Garg, Director, KIET Group of Institutions, Dr. K. Vikas Singh, Executive Director, ITS Education Group, and also Devinder, Narain, Director, Shobhit University. Thank you very much to all the speakers for joining us, and all the valuable solutions and the perception that were put forward. We would be documenting them in our conclave report, and it would be coming out in our magazine that will be launched, and that would be reaching all of you very soon. Soon my colleague, my team would be connecting with you with all those conclave reports, and looking forward to connect with you once again in the coming days. And today is the second day, the end of the second day. We would also request you, if you can take time tomorrow to tomorrow's session. We have a very vibrant session lined up with as eminent speakers from across the country and beyond. Thank you very much once again.